Well, we're going to start off by asking this question. Is the U.S. Open, the Golf U.S. Open, the toughest major to win of the 4 majors? And with having said that, I'm going to welcome everybody to Steve Tees Off with our special guest. Once again, we brought Tim Wilson in. He's a teaching professional. Those that follow us should know him by now because he's been back again.
Yeah, back again.
But we've made this this pact, so to speak, that after every major we're going to come in and we're going to have a chin wag and we're going to talk about it.
I think we're going to talk about it anyways, all over the place. So we might as well talk about it to each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
So welcome, Tim. Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Thank you for
Thanks
coming.
For having me again. It's great.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
So every time that there's a U.S. Open, there's always this discussion about fair and whether or not it's unfair.
Yeah.
And you barely got into the room here and we started talking about that.
Yeah.
Because there's various degrees of fairness in the game of golf.
For sure.
And that golf course that's an old course.
Yeah.
Old
1890
something like
1892, I think.
Yeah. And so many different undulations on the green, so many different things that you could do, and so many times that I don't think I've seen a U.S. Open played where there were so many 10 to 15 foot putts that were for par or bogey that were make or break.
Yeah. Tilted Poanya greens, right? Like just really hard to putt on.
Just and
really
going, well, that was, and when you got the number 1 player in the world making a 15-footer for a bogey and getting a standing ovation.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Like that's some tough golf.
Those great, like I'll give a little backstory, some agronomy on the grass.
Sure.
We putt on the same grass out here on our coast and most of it's Poanya and then it's a bent kind of mix or whatever. But that particular type of grass kind of cauliflowers, like grows up and out, where a bent grass will lay down. So by the afternoon, the seed heads kind of come up, it stands up, so it gets really bumpy in the afternoon. Anyone that knows playing, late afternoon sessions, and that was pretty late afternoon, it's just really, really hard on the short putts because they're fast. So you're trying to roll them in with, not too much pace, but they're also a little wobbly on those surfaces. Yeah.
And you could see it.
Well, you could see the same putt that the same player had over and over again. And they would just sort of slip and break in different directions, right? Like they would just slide off one way or the other on little 4 or 5 footers. So it was interesting to watch that.
The extra drama too.
Yeah.
Which was the chap that won it.
Yeah.
Who, destroyed a clubhouse not too long ago.
Yeah.
Had the crowd to deal with.
Yeah.
Playing with the world's number 1. And I asked the question, like golf tournaments, some golf tournaments are, you win them.
Yeah.
And others you just hang on.
Right.
And the U.S. Open always seems to be one of those you just hang on.
And like I think they set it up that way too, right?
Yeah.
Pin locations, green speeds. They had more wind on Sunday than I think that they had anticipated. So because of that, it really tightened up. And Wyndham wasn't going to go out there, I don't think, with the mentality like, I'm going to fire at flags and put this away. Not like a Tiger at, a Pebble where he had continued to dust the field for the whole thing. I think he went out there with a mentality like, okay, par is going to be really, really good today.
Yeah.
Like I think he knew if he shot even par, it's not a course that someone could come and catch him on that. Maybe if they had a great round, but credit to Sam Burns for getting in it.
That's right. He got in it.
He
was in it and he gave himself a chance.
Yeah. He's going to be a guy. Obviously, Sam's going to be a guy who just keeps beating down that door and eventually he'll get through. He's a world-class player. All the skill sets are there. He's had some tough breaks, but it's the way it goes. It's the way it goes coming down the stretch.
$4.5 million to the winner.
Not bad, eh?
Not bad.
Yeah. I even looked at like Tom Kim, making that putt or par in the last hole, and making like 1.5 million.
Yeah, I have the number breakdown. That was crazy money.
Yeah.
It was.
Thanks, Liv. Thanks, Liv Golf for
That's right. It was
for driving that.
Sam Burns $2.43 million.
Yeah. I mean,
now
At this point, these guys are,
Yeah.
you know, they're in some kind of wealth where they're not really looking at that anymore.
Yeah.
Especially the guys at the top of the leaderboard that are chasing majors. I'm sure they're not upset that they won a bunch of money.
Yeah.
But they're also like, man, real close to like getting a trophy, you know?
And I was, you just after the end, and you go through it, and I start, and I'm one of those guys that looks at I leaderboard. I'm almost the leaderboard guy. I like saying, okay, you know, because you get so ingrained in the actual tournament that you forget about who didn't make the cut.
That's right.
Right? You don't. You go, okay, and then you start looking at all these players that didn't make the cut.
Guys that are like,
They're good. Yeah, they're good players. They were really great players.
It's a good reminder of just how difficult the game is too.
Yeah.
Right. I will always tell some competitive players like, hey, listen, you know, we're always watching the guys on TV and you see them hit all these incredible shots, but remember, there's a producer sitting in a van off site that's directing cameras to action that is, you know, 15-second delay or whatever. So these guys we're watching the best of the best as they sort of play. Yeah. But it's not, you know, everybody has bad days out there. They definitely.
Well, and you can't, you know, the thing, what I found, what's so cool too about links style golf is that, and this is, you know, we're going to get into the Open, which is obviously the last major's coming up. But the thing about links golf is that you can think you hit a great shot on the fairway. You powdered one. Yeah. But you don't want that extra 30 yards of roll.
Yeah. Well, especially when you're landing short of the green on a lot of the places, or into hills to try to like kill it, or the effective surface area of those greens was maybe a tenth of the size of their actual surface area, just because of the usable space that, you know, without those runoffs, and so the green speeds, they have to keep them a little slower. It played very, very unique, and it just forces every player to play defensive. And the breaks were nasty. Nasty little roll-offs into bunkers and down over here. And
you know,
seemed like Wyndham got away with a lot.
He did like
the
that
whole week.
Yesterday, especially when he hit that one, when he was in the fescue. And how he got, I don't know, like how, like, and they, like he couldn't see, there was no ball there.
No.
And he got it out.
Yeah.
And I was, you know what, and I'm going to admit, I got my wife on this bandwagon too. We were kind of not cheering for him.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We were
a Wyndham fan.
And it was just because. But you know what? He played the best game. He did. Yeah. But it was, you know, the thing that he pulled he did at the RBC. Okay, whatever. Yeah. You know, that kind of stuff. But but the I think I was just going, I guess, thinking to myself, he represented everything, and this is just a stereotypical thing that golf isn't supposed to. You don't want golf to be the elite of the elite, kind of, you know, with a name like that and all that kind. All that shit aside, he played the best. Yeah, he did play the best. Yeah, and you got to go and say, okay, he's legitimate.
The media definitely villainized this guy.
Yeah.
Coming into, and they've made it really obvious about his mistakes and his side action. He also, like, if you go kind of into his story, you know, his mom passed away from breast cancer. He struggled mentally. He sought the help of psychiatrist, basically. You know, Julie that he's working with. He, like everyone, makes mistakes, and you know, you get the New York fans something to chew on, and they went at him the whole day. Like, L1,
the Bronx.
Man, they are tough. Like, I think the PGA Tour is starting to get to a point now where they're like, okay, we might have to do something. Yeah, like a U.S. Open, we might have to do something to get, like, it's awful. Like, it's pretty awful.
I'm gonna take one step back here because I got so engrossed in talking about the U.S. Open, I forgot to mention RiversideGolf.ca, our sponsor, the wonderful sponsor, Ken Poirier. Shout out to those guys down there for sponsoring this podcast and giving us the opportunity to talk about golf like this. Yeah, and it is like I always, it's still so fresh because we haven't been able to hear what all the pundits are going to be saying about what what transpired.
Yeah.
But I don't imagine there would be many players complaining about the conditions of the golf course.
No, I think that it was really fair, right? It's fair setup. There's kind of only one thing that you can kind of do on a golf course like that. It's just you got to protect to make sure the greens can be putted on. You can't go crazy fast on them. I think they got what they wanted for the week. They had a real tight tournament full of Americans.
Yeah,
like the U.S.
tons.
Open, like just an American leaderboard.
It was
down the stretch with all of their kind of elite players. Maybe missing a couple of guys that you'd love to see up there, but all the usual suspects were kind of in the mix for a little while, and it was good. It was
well, and the Scheffler thing, like the thing is that there were so many putts that were just missed.
Yeah.
Like just missed. Go the other way, winds blowing, whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. That goes in, and the next thing you know, you're riding this train and it's going. And no, it didn't look like anyone except for Burns at the end, like getting that on the back nine. He started to, feel there was something, okay, maybe, just maybe, and it just wasn't there.
Yeah. I mean, they tried to carry him. The fans were trying to carry him.
Yeah, they're trying.
And he could hear what was going on and was watching leaderboards and knew that if he could get in the clubhouse, that putt that he missed on 18.
Oh, yeah.
And especially after seeing Keith Mitchell roll it up there, perfect pace where you're like, I got this.
Yeah.
And I think he thought he had it too.
Yeah.
And it just went right at the
not
very
going
end.
not going in.
And I think he knew at that point, it's like, okay, this is not, it's not, the 18th hole isn't the toughest. He's not hitting a 5-iron or 6-iron into the green. They're hitting wedges and 9-irons into that green, even if with a poor tee shot. So I don't think it was a hole that Wyndham. I mean, Wyndham did what he did at the U.S. Open at LACC. Mm-hmm. He had about a 52-foot putt, lagged it up to that, and the drama was over.
That's right. It was over.
Yeah,
that's all he needed
to do. He putted great.
That's right. He did. And the thing is that wasn't over till it was over.
That's right.
It was
right down to it.
That could have been a 3-putt.
Very easily, because he did it on what, 16
That's right.
par 3.
He had just done it.
He had, from the same sort of distance.
Yeah.
But this was a little bit easier putt. The pin location was up in a bowl, and that it just sort of stopped up in there, so he could be a bit more aggressive.
I don't think you can ask for more though. Like but like I like to take take the listeners into your teaching brain when you're talking about when you look back at that golf tournament.
Yeah.
And tell us what your teaching brain thinks how you can relate that to your students.
Yeah.
I know that's a very good, it's a not really, well, it's not a vague question. It's, is it patience? Is it?
Yeah. You're prepping for a difficult test. So it's going to be an emotional drain. It's going to be a physical drain. Like the time on Thursday and Friday, it's just going to be long out there. So if you happen to make it to the weekend and possibly you're in contention, it's just going to be like a real grind the whole way through. So in doing that, you really have to script a player. And I've got lots of players that go and play difficult golf courses and difficult tournaments, and they know it, and they play the practice rounds, and they can kind of get a look at the course. And the only thing that I'll ever say to them is you really have to stay present. You can't get too far ahead of yourself. Can't get too emotional. You've really got to handle the cliche of like one shot at a time. Mm-hmm. Has to be like that on difficult golf courses, because if you start thinking ahead or thinking about what just happened, you're going to make bogeys. You're going to, like, these things are going to happen. You really just have to play like good shot after good shot after good shot, and just try really, really hard in the moments that you get over your golf ball. And that's it. If you can do that, then you can kind of separate the time that goes by. It'll keep you a little bit more relaxed. It'll free you up a little bit more. But in difficult situations like that, you really have to lean on your process. Actually, his caddy, Big Wave, they call him, he was really good. If you heard the audio, every time he let Wyndham walk into the ball, he said, "Okay, good process."
Yeah.
Okay, good process. Just reminding him, like, knock out the noise. Let's go. Yeah. Let's go into the number you want to hit it, where we're going, and get yourself ready to hit your golf shot.
you being what's the interesting question too that I find thinking about and wanting to ask you was, how does it actually feel in tournament play when it's that tight? Like, how does that feel? Like that?
Yeah.
That you want to take your putter and knot in half.
Yeah.
When you just gas one, that's
you can feel your blood vessels in your eye start to like tighten. You'll get a neck flicker. Your hands will start to get clammy and tight. You literally like start to lose sensation a little bit, and you have to keep trying to feel. Like you have to keep trying to move, and not fast. And you have to kind of slow it down because your nervous system is just climbing. And breathing is the best way to sort of regulate this and bring it down. So you'll watch players like strategically take these big breaths, eyes closed, to try to just lower the nervous system. Because once it gets going, it's literally everything can just happen in a flash. And you're like, I don't even remember what happened. It's like the Will Ferrell, I just blacked out, I don't know what happened. It's that. It's you wake up and you're like, I guess I just won that tournament because the moments come and go so quickly.
Key holes.
Yeah.
I was looking. I spent a lot of time prior to the tournament watching a lot of video of the golf course.
Yeah. Okay.
And looking at the holes.
It gets better and better, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it does.
The drone stuff. Camera work is incredible.
And trying to, and then there was times where they say, well, this is, handicap wise, this is the top end. Like this is one of the toughest holes. And that doesn't look that tough.
Right.
That doesn't look that tough.
And so, it's as good as they can do with the cameras on TV. When you go and stand, like my first experience of going to like Augusta National, I'd watched it since I was a boy. I knew every golf hole. I knew every shot. And we walked on the property and I was like, is this a ski slope? What is this place? Like the topography was insane. The greens were so high up and small and tilted and runoffs. It freaked me out. I was like, this isn't real. It doesn't even look real. I would imagine Shinnecock's a lot like that too.
Yeah.
They had to follow, I guess, Wyndham up the hole on 9. They drove down and then it's this giant elevation and you couldn't see him for a couple of seconds and all of a sudden he comes rising up this hill and you're like, wow, that is a massive climb up to that green. That's a tough shot. Yeah.
And lots of blind shots.
Tons of
blinds, blind shots. Like all you see is fescue.
Right.
Links
over the corner.
That's
down
right.
Here.
That's right. And
370-yard runouts.
And you literally, the thing is that you're hitting shots, and you literally don't know whether or not that was a good shot.
Yeah,
you're looking at your caddy, going,
"Yeah,
okay."
Yeah. And for those who've played, like links golf before and had a caddy sort of say, like, "Okay, you just want to hit it over that rock right there," and you're like, "Really? The rock? Yeah, just rode over, but not." That rock, that rock.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I guess away we go.
That's right.
When you get up there, you're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a different kind of target game for sure.
Yeah.
PGA was really kind of honed in with the tree line sort of golf course at Aronimink. This was more like, okay, you better pick your spot and know where you want to kind of miss this thing. Because it wasn't super penal when they got into the fescue because it was kind of matted down and dry. It was like, it reminded me of the US Open at Chambers. I went down to that one. It was just a dust bowl. Like everything had dried out by the end of the week. It looked like that out there. It was dusty. So anywhere that you got way offline, there's no water out there. It was easy to get through.
There was, that's it. You talk about the fescue too, because when my experience in playing in link style course, which is somewhat limited, but getting in fescue, there's always a decision whether or not you want to advance the ball or you just want to punch it out.
Yeah.
And that one there, there wasn't like there was a couple of punch outs.
There was
a couple, but not many. It was fair. Like you could say, listen, you know what? If you can get the ball 70 or 80 yards out there, and you could advance it, that's a good shot.
Yeah.
Okay. But on the other hand, the other thing is that if you want to try and just punch it out, you might hit it through the fairway and to the other side because the frickin' the fairway is so fast. Yeah.
And you can't compound a mistake. Like if you hit it in the fescue, you go, okay, strokes gained will kind of tell you I'm maybe at like a half shot or maybe even a full shot behind at this moment. If I compound this mistake, I could get another half or another full shot behind. All of a sudden now I'm staring double in the face. So there was a few times where you could tell a player got such a bad lie in the fescue, but kind of like the early fescue, the watered fescue, where they'd call an official over and be like, is this ball embedded? Is it plugged? Like, can I get relief? And they'd be like, sorry, dude, that's just a bad lie. Like, you got to deal with that. Where most of the time, I think they could get, if you could get a club on the back of the golf ball, they could move it out of there. It wasn't super bad, super tough for them.
And we talked too a lot about just like your approaches to greens too.
Yeah.
There was like a lot of those holes, especially yesterday, where the best shot was the center of the green.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
The center of the green.
Yeah.
Just try and get
couldn't take it on.
Yeah.
And I think that's the position that Sam was in. He was forced to, and then because of it, was really kind of one of the only aggressive players on the golf course. And he got burned a couple of times. He got one that kind of rolled into the bunker. It looked like it's going to be close or whatever. Yeah. Whereas, Wyndham goes out there and he's in a totally different mindset. He's just trying to like get it on the surface, 2-putt, go. Yeah. Like just give me pars and get me moving through this round.
That's the key. The thing is that the reason I started it off by saying, is this the best major? Yeah, right. Because that like, and I say yesterday because everybody focuses on the Sunday, but was the avoidance of double bogeys.
Yeah.
Because those you're not coming back from that. Like you're not going to say, you can't be like a goldfish and go, okay, well, you know what? I doubled that. I can make that back on it. No,
there just wasn't a lot of chances, right? 2 par 5s, 7,400 yards.
Yeah.
Right. Like big golf course, not a lot of, mind you, the players, because the ball was going so far on the fairways, they weren't hitting long clubs into the greens, but because of the elevation changes, especially elevated greens, hitting a wedge into an elevated green, you can't get the ball to spin and stop the way that you want. The first hop kind of skids. And you'd see a lot of players from these, pretty comfortable yardages for them inside like 100 yards, hitting it over the back of greens or spinning it off the front of the green because they just were really struggling with trying to get the ball to land and stop and control the way that they wanted to.
So overall impressions of the Canadian showing there, and who did we?
We had 4 Canadians in the field. Corey Connors was the only one to make the cut. Yeah. And finished at 5 over, finished 23rd or whatever. Yellow Miraju, Ben Silverman, and Nick Taylor were also in the field. Ben Silverman went through qualifying. So he got through the qualifying stages to get in. All the other guys had qualified by exemption. So Yellow Miraju, I think, was like the top player outside of the top 5 to qualify. Like there was some stipulation that he got in that way on the FedEx. Obviously, Nick Taylor got in because of his standings and win, and I think Corey Connors the same thing because of his performance
getting into the majors to me is kind of like trying to understand boxing weights.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like heavy, lightweight, light heavyweight. Yeah. What division is it? Like how do you? It is.
That's a crazy one. So that's always an interesting one for me. Before the Open starts is the longest day in golf. The qualifying day for that, the Monday before, where they're playing a million holes to try to get in. It's a morning round, then it's another round, it's another round, and that's how they qualify in, and it's an open tournament. So
you've gone to try and qualify?
I've gone to not for US Open qualifying. No? I've done it for the Canadian Open multiple times when I was younger. A couple of times going through Northview when it was here to try to play in the ACC. Yeah. Never had a chance of getting through to go into any of those fields, but know what it's like when you show up and you look around and you're like, wow, there's a lot of players here that had traveled to. Not just local players, they're coming from everywhere because you get into that field. I heard Harry Higgs was the last guy to get into the field this week, 156. Harry with no buttons on his shirt. I love that guy. He's hilarious. Yeah. But he showed up and he had a mindset where he was like, you know what? Why do I have to play like I'm 156 in the field? I'm here. It's going to be tough. It's going to be close to par. Like, what if I have a good week? Why can't I just believe that I'm good enough to sort of do this? So those open invitations, sometimes they work out. Sometimes you get a guy who takes advantage of it and turns it into a career.
There isn't another sport that has that. Is there?
Not really. No,
there isn't. Like, you can't do that.
You can't just walk up to the NBA and
exactly.
be like,
Here we go.
I mean, every once in a while they have open auditions in the NFL. Like they're running low on linemen maybe or something. But
but you can't do that
not
for
like
tennis.
this.
You can't do you can't you.
No, you're gonna have to cut your teeth and earn your rankings, I think, in most sports. So this is something that is fairly unique as amateurs or professionals have a chance of getting in and playing for a national championship.
So I'm sure when you watch this tournament, when you watch a major such as this, do you have your teaching hat on?
I got everything on.
You got everything on?
Yeah, I'm embracing the player in the arena, right? Like I'm embracing that what it feels like to kind of stand on a tee box with people around you and the chatter and wanting to hit good shots. So I can kind of try to feel that element. I'm a huge fan of the game and just the work ethic that it takes to get to be that good at that level and then be able to execute in those positions. And then I'm also a hyper analytical golf coach, watching swings and mistakes and successes and failures and analyzing it and trying to digest it so that I can transfer some of that information to some of my players. I'm going to have a conversation about the US Open for the next 5 or 6 days with all of my students. Because it'll come up. We're all golf junkies. Yeah, we all watched it, and they'll either come in going, "Oh, it's too bad Wyndham won," and then I'll talk them in a different direction, maybe a little bit. Yeah. Or I'll be like, it's great to back players. It's really, really great to back a player and want a guy to win, and it's just the nature of sport. He Wyndham was the heel in this for sure. Yeah. He was totally villainized, but he played. He didn't play it up. Like he didn't. It's not the first time this has ever happened. When Tiger and Mickelson were at each other, there was a huge separation in the crowd, and people either loved Phil or loved Tiger. Yeah, and there was jeers and there was all that kind of stuff. Maybe not to this level, but
what did Jim Rome used to call Phil Mickelson? 8 Hugh Grant. Did you ever know that? Did you ever hear that?
No.
He used to call Jim Rome. Do you remember Jim Rome?
Of course.
The Jim Rome show?
Yeah.
He used to call Phil Mickelson 8 Hugh Grant. I just thought of that.
Yeah.
He was vilified.
Yeah. But so it's not the first time that an American on American soil has been a villain.
Yeah.
Wyndham did a great job he said it in his post game press conferences. He said anytime he heard something negative, he immediately told himself something positive, turned it into a positive. So if someone said hit in the bunker, he's like, yeah, well, if I hit in the bunker, I'm a pretty good bunker player. I can get out of there. So he had a response. He didn't try to ignore it because you can't. You can't just put your blinders on and your earmuffs and be like, I'm not going to listen to these psychos. But
what's funny though is that it is listening to the gallery. Find the water.
It is insane. Did you see the Rory clip? So this guy yells, "Get in the bunker" at Rory, and Rory kind of turns and looks, and he goes, "I hope you live there all day." And Rory looks at him, and it's this big fat guy, I guess. And Rory gives him one of these, looks at him, and kind of goes back and forth at him. And you're like, all right, Rory's that guy that will not back down and will, obviously he's not in contention either. If he did, I'm sure he gets his share and would keep his blinders on, but it must be hard, Rory, especially being a Ryder Cup guy who played at Bethpage, to go back to the New York fans and just be like, here we go again.
Yeah.
So they became a big part of the conversation, and I don't know that they should be. It should be about the golf, but obviously it's entertainment, right?
It is. It is entertaining.
It was very entertaining.
And so where would you? Back to this question.
Yes.
The U.S.
The
Open,
toughest.
The toughest. Do you think that's the?
If the only stipulation I would say is the British, the Open Championship with its elements. If it gets windy and cold and rainy, that's a whole other animal. That could be impossible. There was some impossible days that they've played in history overseas. The U.S. Open is always golf's toughest test. I think that's how they kind of pin it, set it up. Not that it's unfair, but they just want to test every club in the bag. That's kind of how they do it. The Masters is not that. It's a very straightforward, like you know what clubs you're going to hit. It's going to be very similar. It's going to play pretty similar weather-wise, conditions-wise. It's always a tough test because it's the Masters, but the scores are always really good. The guys make a ton of birdies. The greens are it's a perfect venue. PGA, who knows? Yeah, kind of the narrative can kind of change from venue to venue, but the U.S. Open, I would say, historically is going to be a tough test.
What goes into course selection for the U.S. Open?
I think at this point, they're really trying to play off of these historical venues, right? Like they really want to keep going back to Pebble and Shinnecock and Olympic Club. And like, they want to go back to these like historic golf courses because there's these great backstories. They've also, most of these historic golf courses have been restored to their, earlier looks. Not to say that those early architects planted trees and didn't anticipate trees growing and thinking like one day this could be a parkland. It'd be beautiful with all these trees here. The current architects, because of, turf quality, mostly to remove those trees to get some airflow and sunlight and take those things that suck the water out of the ground and get that grass in better condition, they start removing trees. Well, Shinnecock removed all of the trees. Well, now it's full on links, right?
Well, it was funny because this is probably earlier on in the week when I was perusing, watching videos, and they were doing some drone flyovers, and they had some YouTubers out there. And stuff.
Right.
And the one guy turns around who was a caddy. He was caddying.
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, we left one tree out here for you to hang yourself." And I started laughing. I went, "That's funny." And the guy looks at him as if he was serious. I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's true though. I mean, that's like Chambers has one tree too. Like there's these places are now. I think it adds to the style and the play, and it really made it kind of fun to let the wind kind of play a huge role in the week too. Why? And this is probably an unanswerable. It's probably an opinion type question. The Canadian Open, has never had the glorified esteem of a they don't even, you can't even say it's the fifth major. You can't. Why is that? Why? They had a moment they had it for a minute when Tiger won the U.S. and the British, and then Lee Trevino, I think, made him aware that there was a triple crown out there, winning the Canadian, the British, and the U.S. And Trevino's like, I did it. And that was the year that Tiger hit that
that pressure shot of the bunker. That's right. Yeah.
And that wins the triple crown.
Yeah.
So they had a moment there where they could have been like, golf's toughest thing. Yeah. The triple crown exists. And they could have piggybacked off of that. And I don't know what happened. I think a little bit of it was they had secured the same venue, Glen Abbey, for multiple years. And Glen Abbey is not, unfortunately, Augusta National, where you can just have the same venue. It's not Muirfield Village where it's Jack's Place or what. It's a very good golf course, but it wasn't that place. And if you're going to have a national championship, it's got to move around the nation. And I think it's only ever really been in Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. Yeah, it would be cool to see if the Prairies could support a.
Yeah, that would be.
Well,
it's perfect for links,
right? Just to support this massive event moving around. It just has everything to do with infrastructure and people, right? Where are the people? Where are they going to be?
Yeah, and there's I think, my own personal opinion, I think that's the toughest Open to win.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I really do. I think it is. It's just simply because I came up with that conclusion last night when I was seeing how many guys, quality players, miss the cut.
Yeah.
And that's not uncommon.
No,
because they're just not prepared. Like if you're you have to, every part of your game has to be good in order to be successful on that type of golf course.
Yeah,
you can't bomb it.
Yeah,
like you're going to be in trouble.
It was also, like it always is, every week on tour, you're going to get the wrong side of the draw. Like, so if you happen to go really early in the morning, the first day, and it was foggy and cold and windy and whatever, that's tough. And then it kind of settled and it changed. So it's just, there's a whole bunch of factors that go into it. But when, when it gets that difficult, you make a couple of mistakes, and like to your point earlier, there's not a lot of opportunities to get them back. You know?
Now, and we talked a little bit. We talked about the crowd. We talked about Wyndham's his reputation that he has. Is this a because like a lot of people hated Bryson DeChambeau for a long time.
Yeah.
And he made that change. It's just he turned from being the villain into being, had the good guy vibe. Is this that moment?
I think you have to get to know someone differently, right? Like, and I think Bryson was only this scientist, antagonist. I think people were Kepka. It was like Kepka fans, or Kepka's cool. Bryson's a nerd, so don't like Bryson. But then all of a sudden, Bryson on his, exposes himself on the YouTube channel, and you kind of get to know him a little bit more, and you're like, oh, he's actually really entertaining. Yeah, and he is just a big nerd. Yeah, he's not intentional with his actions. He puts his foot in his mouth a little bit, and maybe doesn't know exactly what to say, and he's a little bit in the lurch right now, trying to figure out what he's going to do with himself. He's built up this huge YouTube channel. Yeah, he's on the Live Tour, which everyone knows that's not going to be a thing that probably is going to disappear. And then he's now starting to not play as well in the big events that he gets into. So he's kind of splitting hairs a little bit, and I think he has to decide who he wants to be as a. Does he want to be a great player? Does he want to be a YouTuber?
Right. And it's reflective in his play.
For sure it is.
Like you definitely have to play against the best of the world to hone in your game. Yeah. Like you have to.
Well, you are walking down the fairways, closing rounds with the same guys, watching these guys do their thing week in, week out, versus coming over and kind of being starstruck a little bit, I would imagine. Being like, ooh, I haven't seen Scotty in a little while. There he is. Wow, he's pretty good at this.
Yeah. And that,
It's hard. It would be hard for the live guys to keep showing up and keep pulling it out unless they start to get into some tournaments again.
That pairing between the two of them too.
Yeah.
Scheffler and Wyndham.
Yeah.
It was like if you.
I don't think they're buddies.
No, they weren't. I don't think they're buddies, but there was really no. How there was no fist pumping. No, like there was no
There was just the one big one on I think 16. Is that the par 5? 16?
Yeah.
When he was all over the place and then made that putt up the hill to kind of give him a 2-shot lead. That was a big moment. You could tell like he's been hanging on to that for a little bit. Like thank God something went in finally.
Yeah.
Scheffler really didn't. Scheffler just couldn't get a ball to go in the hole on the greens. He's still Scheffler. He's still playing terrible. Yeah. To his opinion, he's just playing not good right now.
And he's only 30.
And he's just turned 30
years old.
Yeah. I don't know that pairing was probably fairly comfortable for both of them. They just they seem like guys that do their own thing. They weren't walking down the fairway chit-chatting. Yeah. They're hanging out with their caddies and just doing
made for good TV.
Oh yeah, for sure
it did.
Yeah.
It really did. Yeah. It really did. I look back, when I watch something, especially majors, it's how many times I'll get up,
right,
to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I didn't get up much.
Yeah, I was sitting there watching for most of it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because something there, and the other thing I'll say about the U.S. Open, unlike any other tournament, is it's like one hole, one putt, can change the whole dynamic of everything.
Yeah.
And just, and like one bomb.
Yeah.
One hole in one.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And even playing like this is like, how good these guys are out of the sand. They don't look that good out of the sand this past weekend.
It was tough.
It's tough.
It's tough, beachy sand too. So it's not sand that you can really spin the ball. And when you're not able to get that first check right away out of the sand to control it, then you're playing kind of the runoffs on the bunkers, and then you have to be defensive because runoff means another bunker off the other side. So you have to play like crazy. It's just it keeps you on tilt like the whole day,
or run back.
So exactly, or back in the bunker. Well, DJ on Thursday or Friday or whatever, he had got to 4 under. He was right there with Wyndham, and then made quad on a hole. Just. Shipped it into a bunker, then chunked it in the bunker, then bladed it out of, and you're just like, oh my gosh,
And even that it happened. I think Rory yesterday too.
Yes.
He hit one.
Yeah.
He knew where he had to put the ball.
Yeah.
And it's that upper ledge.
Yeah.
Didn't quite make it.
Yeah.
All the way back down.
Yeah.
Now you got a worse lie.
Yeah.
And then you overcompensate, hammer it over.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at 3 putts coming back.
Yeah.
And going, this is over. Like this is, and then and I think Rory, it may have been on that hole where he said to his caddy, I think it's time to go home.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he had enough of that place.
It's time to go home.
Rory in
but,
New York.
The thing is that from a traditional standpoint, it lived up to all the hype. There's no question.
Yeah, for sure.
I certainly, I enjoyed this one. Now, where's the British Open being played? What course is that being played at?
Oh, I don't know that.
I don't
honestly don't know that. Was so caught up in this one. It's one little click away, obviously. British Open. I should know this.
And me.
Birkdale. Yeah, Birkdale.
Okay.
Birkdale.
Okay.
Crazy good venue.
Uh-huh.
Crazy good venue. Yeah, actually I did know that. I was looking at the venues. Obviously, Augusta is always Augusta, but I was like, at the beginning of the year, I'm looking at the Aronimink, Shinnecock and Birkdale, and I'm like, that is a major lineup. This is going to be a great major season. These 4 majors. It's going to be that's going to be a great one too.
Yeah, and so that will be our the next conversation that we have talking about that.
Yeah.
Are there any other things that jumped out at you about this tournament specifically?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I think so. 10 of the last 12 winners have been American.
Mm-hmm.
So this starts to become like a real style of play. The Americans kind of showing up. If you remember JJ Spawn, the way that he hit his tee shots last year, Koepka, the way that he played Shinnecock the last time he won 2018, you're seeing a big hard fade show up a lot in these big tough golf courses.
Yeah.
When you're trying to control a golf ball around a golf course, low spin draws are really, really difficult. Difficult off the tee, very difficult into the greens. Land angle, the steepness that these guys come in is a big deal. But if you can't create spin immediately, you are losing control, right? Totally losing control. So you're starting to see a pattern from these American players, mostly. Even when Fitzpatrick won, Fitzy was playing kind of a bit of a squeeze fade, right? Low squeeze fades. So you're seeing the style of, Wyndham sliced the pants off.
Oh, yeah.
And he did the same at LACC. The big fairways, he aimed down the left and he just cut it like crazy. Just sliced it like crazy. Never really missed it left. Had a couple of little double crosses, I think, with his 3-wood maybe, or a driver once. But really just bled the ball right all day long and gave up a ton of yardage and distance doing that, but knowing that he was going to kind of find positioning. So if you're thinking about playing difficult championship golf, I mean, Shaughnessy is exactly that. We get to a point in the season, and it's actually very similar when I watch that tournament at Shinnecock, a West Coast a coastal golf course with the same type of green surface. I see a lot of similarities in a place like Shaughnessy in the middle of summer. It gets crispy, it gets baked out, the wind starts playing an element, and you have to start to spin and control your golf ball. You can't just throw it to the middle of the green, it'll bounce right over, and now you're chipping all day long. So the style that these guys are adapting to get the ball to control and stay on the surfaces and be in play is really kind of becoming one dimensional. I don't know that you're going to see, I mean, obviously Rory's won a US Open before, but maybe in softer conditions, maybe on a different style of golf
Never
course.
thought of that till you just brought that up, because it was a lot of hard slices.
Yeah, but that's it, is like, for Wyndham, a slice goes in upwards of 3,000 to probably 4,000 RPM on a bad one. He's trying to keep that ball spinning at 2,500 minimum, kind of all day off the tee. Whereas a draw player is probably getting their spin rates down closer to 2,000. If they tip that too much and it goes to 1,600, that ball starts to come out of the air. It hits the ground soon and it's running out of control. So you saw that style, especially to Wyndham's approach shots coming into the greens. So Wyndham's playing a Pro V1X, which is a real spinny golf ball coming into approaches. high apex. So he's kind of coming in really high and spinny and then really getting that first bounce to stop quickly. And that was noticeable for some of the other guys coming in, watching a ball sort of like get in the air, try to grab, and then just trickle over the back of the green. Mm-hmm. So if you want to win a U.S. Open, you better start cutting the golf ball. You better start slicing it.
Well, yeah, that's it's an interesting thing, and it's funny because when I was a kid, I was young, like if you wanted to be a player, you had to draw the ball,
right?
Like you had to draw the ball.
We all chase it. Yeah. I was a drawer when I was a younger player. Uh-huh. I lost a tournament by whipping 3 balls out of bounds on the last hole. Hook. I'm like, I went to my coach and I'm like, I never want to hit a draw or a hook ever again in my life. Can we do that? And he goes, be careful. Because if we go down that avenue, it's going to be real hard for you to draw again. And it's true. Once you start to learn that pattern, you deliver, your body moves differently, spin differently, you load your lead side differently, and you really, the path and the way you deliver the face is different. It becomes a little harder to kind of release the draw comfortably, and then you just sort of own that pattern. But then you think of like these historic great players that had the ability to like hoist a high fade, like Nicklaus hit incredibly high iron shots and could fade the ball beautifully. Tiger learned to adapt. Tiger was, I think, the multi-tool athlete that like we've never seen before. He could do everything with a golf ball. He could hit a stinger and they're like, what is that? He could hit a high fade. He flighted wedges. Like he was a master of everything when he was at the highest level, where you see a player like Wyndham and he's very one-dimensional, not in a bad way, but very one-dimensional with his pattern. He's hitting high fades or squeeze fades. He can hit a couple of draws when he puts it back and traps like an iron, but he's not hitting any draws with the driver.
He created some drama. I think it was yesterday when he crossed himself up.
Yep.
You know, and that's what happens. That happens.
It happens for sure. You're swinging pretty hard left. Yeah. You're hoping that face is 1 or 2 degrees open as you're swinging in that direction. Close it up a little early or get a little jumpy. Yeah. And now all of a sudden you're swinging 7 degrees left and your face is a degree closed and you swing at 120 miles an hour and it's gonzo. See you later. That's a good way to get rid of a golf ball.
But the thing is, though, that the game, it's interesting to watch the game evolve.
Yeah.
It has evolved.
For sure.
And that was the draw. It was, you try and draw the ball. Now, in order to play better, you're going to learn to. Now, the thing is that to be able to ring that bell, and you're right in saying Tiger was the only one that you could ring the bell and go, okay, I can see this shot, I can pull this shot.
Yeah, he hit them all.
There's not a lot of guys that can do that.
When you kind of say, like, what was Tiger's shot shape? I would say all of them, straight, high, draw, fade. He hit every shot, and he owned them all. Yeah. Whereas you watch Wyndham, and that's a pure fader. Same like Scotty. Scotty only cuts the golf ball. Right. And when he tries to draw one, he looks like he's having a seizure.
Oh, like that's the foot is turned. Everything's
turn everything over, and you're like, it's so unnatural for him to try to do that. He can do it, obviously, but he's not going to do it by setting up right, striking into his grip, closing the face. He's just not going to do that. He's going to try to use his hands to kind of create that draw and just live with a fade for most of it. And if these guys have figured, and they all have the metrics, they all have great coaching, they all understand why they would go to that pattern. They're not going to try to do a million different things. They're going to be like, hey, if I do this all the time, I'm going to have a huge success rate at hitting fairways, hitting greens. That's going to give me a lot of opportunities for putts. I don't even have to putt that great. I'm just going to be there every single week. That's Scotty's motto is he's literally hitting away from most pins, just trying to hit fairways, trying to run up stats. And if he has 15 chances for birdie and only converts a couple, he's going to be there at the end of every single tournament, even if by his own admission, he's not playing well.
And he is. He's proven it.
Like that's the cool stuff is watching these guys with creating longevity in the game, you know?
So we can close on this note here too. I told you about we're looking for hole-in-ones.
Yeah.
Cool. Hole-in-ones.
Yeah, super cool one.
Forrest Van Alstyne.
Van Alstyne, a member of the UBC men's golf team. Was playing in and a player I've watched grow up at Shaughnessy. He's a member at Shaughnessy.
Okay.
He's won our junior club championship like 3 times.
Okay.
He's competed in all our championships. He started as this little guy with his clothes way too big for him on the range, and just the work ethic of this kid is incredible. So I saw him on the putting green. You'd kind of reached out to me and said, "Hey, you know anyone that got a hole in one?" And I heard a story. At the Marine Drive Am. And I think you got it.
Well, and I'm going to read directly here. You guys first hole in one, he started on the back 9 and was 2 under through 9, then hit a little rough patch bogey from 80 yards on 1 and another bogey on 3. But by the time he reached the 4th, he felt like he needed to flip the momentum. The wind was picking up. The course was getting firmer, and he's staring down a downwind par 3 with a pin tucked just a few paces onto the green, guarding a nasty downslope with the front bunker, off the front bunker. He was honestly just hoping to walk away with a par. It was playing around 165, so he takes a high cut 8-iron, hits it pretty solid, not even his best strike of the day, but it's tracking the flag the whole way. He doesn't see a bounce, doesn't see the ball. He's thinking, great, it's either buried in the front bunker or it's bounced over the green, as we always do. Already a little grumpy from these bogeys. Great description here for us. Like, wonderful. They walk up. He doesn't see a ball anywhere, so he checks the hole, and there it is. The paint on the lip is chipped, so the group figures it must have flown down straight on the fly, downwind through the pin, tough pin. There was almost no way to stop softly. First ace in the tournament on a hole, playing that tough, and he finishes the round at 1 under and tied for the lead, and the scorecard apparently looks hilarious. So what? Right? Just a whole bunch of 5s with a lonely 1 sandwich right in the middle. Well, you know what, Forrest? Shout out to you, buddy.
Shout out for us.
That's fantastic.
If you guys know that hole too, it's a beautiful hole up Marine Drive. It's right along the water, so there's always wind. But the front pin location looks like it's not on the green. It looks like it's in the bunker. Like there's nowhere to land it. If you're gonna go at that pin, you basically have to do that. You're gonna fly it in. So there's multiple times. I know that feeling walking up, being like, "Oh my God, this could be the one," and then seeing it plugged in the front bunker, going like, okay, I just made 5 now, not 1.
That's right.
So kudos for us. That's
right.
That's a cool story, man.
That's great. And I'll encourage anyone, if you've jarred one lately, you reach out to us. You can just go. I think it's I can't even remember. We'll put it in the show notes. What our email is. I should know that, but you can get a hold of us on Instagram too.
DMs.
DMs. That's right. Sure. Throw them our way, and we'll get them up, because getting a hole in one is it's a big deal.
It's cool.
I think it's
so, we have a board.
Cool.
We have a board at the club that we put up throughout the season. For all the hole in ones throughout the year, and like some years there's a lot of hole in ones, and then some years it's just and then there's always a time where there's like the same guy that plays every day or girl that plays every day gets like 2 or 3 in a season. Wow. You're just like, phew. That's too much golf. You're playing too much golf.
Some people are incredibly lucky.
Oh, yeah.
They are.
True.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. But let's wrap this up. Tim, your socials, what are you on your Instagram?
Golf Coach Tim everywhere.
Okay, Golf Coach Tim everywhere.
Yeah.
You're at Shaughnessy.
Yeah.
And we're going to, we keep on talking, keeping the discussion tight.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking when the Open, British Open, come on, and have something to talk about.
Yeah.
In the interim, you know how to get a hold of this guy. I'd like to thank riversidegolf.ca for sponsoring this. I'll get that. Thank you guys, Ken Poirier and the team. Wonderful. And I encourage everyone to subscribe. And Tim, thank you so much for taking the time out and having this discussion, because I enjoyed it like hell.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, buddy.
Okay, we're awesome.